Welcome once again, guys, to a brand new installment of the Visual Vapor Reviews. So, thanks so much for tuning in for the weekly video. Well, the newest video in the week. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to upload yesterday. We've got a whole new format, and I finally got my tablet working, so we're finally able to get a little bit of a change of scenery. I'm over here in the living room right now trying to get my videos back up and running. So we're gonna try and make it work. My phone is leaning up against a cup, so that's possibly a recipe for disaster. I'm not 100% sure yet. But we're going to be talking about the history and evolution of vape coils, courtesy of the Mist Hub, this article was published on August 2nd, 2016. And they have come a long way since the original cartomizers. They've really stepped up their game, and there's a whole lot of new stuff. So let me adjust the camera real quick, and we'll get right into this Topic Tuesdays. Alright, guys, so I understand it is a Wednesday, but we've got a whole lot of stuff to talk about. I've got work later today, so we're going to hopefully be able to get this wrapped up as quick as possible. Alright, so let's start off with the original, and probably work our way down the article. I'm going to read the article, and then I'll voice my thoughts and opinions on it, possibly in between the article and mostly at the end. So we'll get right into it. I've got my tablet right off to the side, so if you see me looking off to the side, I am reading it. So I'll try and make as much eye contact with the camera as possible. Alright, so I've got my three flavors right here before we start off. We've got Ariana's favorite, Banana Split, and I promised her I'd vape that today. Today is her birthday. She is 20 years old. Wonderful. And I've been with her for almost 3 years now. So we've got Banana Split, her favorite. I just made a huge pickup, so I got 10 bottles of this stuff. Fresh Lime and Menthol, which is that's a really light menthol, not a huge overpowering one. Alright, so let's get right into this, and we'll start off with the title of it, which is called The Evolution and History of Vape Coils. Alright. So, the TFV8 Cloud Beast tank is the first tank on the market that comes with standard with an octo coil. Take a moment to drink that in. Octuple coil setups from the factory just became standard equipment. This is a big deal. A solid move to raise the bar in an industry that always loves bigger and more powerful gear. As a point of respect, we want to tell you how we got here, how the industry evolved, and, most importantly, from the beginning. So, in the beginning, you can trace the technology of vaping all the way back to April 1963, when a guy named Herbert Gilbert filed a patent on the smokeless non-tobacco cigarette. John F. Kennedy was president, so you can understand the technology described was not quite ready for production, and the patent expired without making it into stores. The idea was reborn in 2003. A Chinese doctor named Han Lick, who based his design for the electronic cigarette on ultrasonic atomization, developed a three-piece setup similar in size to analog cigarettes. The first N-Gen e-cigarettes were put into production, and the industry began selling globally in 2004. Meaning, what an amazing timeline. 1963, and then it took a sleeper all the way until 2003. That's amazing, and the global phenomenon that was vaping came into its prime in 2004. I was probably, 99, 2001, 2, 3, 4. I was 5 years old at the time. My baby brother Joshua had just been born. So that's when why vaping is so new. Stuff like this was unheard of at the time of 2003. You would never expect to see anything like this at all. So, think about that. The first vaporizer that was reborn around 2003 and 4 was this thing. A little cartomizer e-cigarette. Really simple in design, really easy to use. and it gives off just enough vapor similar to a cigarette. Kind of amazing that something like that became this. So we'll get into more of that in just a second. So it's pretty self-explanatory how much it's evolved since then, from the e-cigarettes to these things. Really amazing. And from something like that to that is pretty insane. It went from being able to just put out it went out from being able to put out just tiny clouds like this to something like this. Amazing evolution from the beginning, and that's all thanks to the most fundamental part of vaporizers, the coils. So let's move on. In 2006, the next big innovation combined the atomizer and flavor cartridge into one piece, appropriately called the cartomizer. There was no ultrasonic technology here. The inventors Umar and Tariq Shakish of XL Distributors opted for a simple resistance wire heating element wrapped in cotton. That should sound pretty familiar to you vapors out there. That basic resistance wire technology lives on in every coil on the market today. Resistance wire tech was the foundation for a rapid evolution of consumer technology. Rapid enough, in fact, to be compared to the market-driven advances in personal computing and cellular phones with no exaggeration whatsoever. That's pretty crazy, considering that if it's on par with the distribution and creation of cell phone technology, that means that there is a demand out there. That means it's not just, it's a niche, it's a simple part of technology. It's successful. It's not just some tiny little piece of technology. It's got some really important things. So now we're going on to what's called, the next part of the article, called post-cartomizer. That means just before it. So the cartomizer ruled the roost for the next few years, limited only by power output, which moved forward with an emphasis on capacity, until 2011, when the coil resistance was basically around 2 or 2.5 ohms and drew very small amounts of power, but expanded battery options. The early screwdriver mods, or purse smokers, the ego, and eventually the variable voltage mods like the lava tube, which are very old mods. Those are like antiques beyond belief in the vaping world, allowed more current. Taking advantage of this, the dual coils were introduced into larger, higher capacity cartomizers, giving much greater vapor production and bigger clouds. The power output and coil technology, with those two things advancing, everything got bigger. The carto tank, a ported cartomizer inside a glass or plastic reservoir, boosted the juice capacity. The clearomizers were developed in early of 2012, which used wicking systems instead of packed cotton, allowing you to basically use simpler wicking methods, such as cotton fiber, or simple fibers that were found only in older tanks. Like, for example, I actually have one. Let me go grab it real quick. Here we are. So something you're not used to seeing, or you might be if you're just starting out vaping, is this little beauty. Now you can kind of see it through the foil, the little wick pieces here. In this case, the wicking is on the outside. I'm going to open this up actually, because I haven't shown it to you guys before. But this is essentially what the cartomizer looked like. Really simple, really easy, and it has a very low resistance. All of your cotton is coming down the center, but it also comes off the sides here to wick up and complete your circuit. A really simple and really easy cartomizer, and it's pretty insane to think that it went from something like this to something like this. This is a falcon head coil, and this is an ego coil. So look at that. Look at the difference. Yeah, this is a little gunky, I know, it's been used. But look at this thing. This thing has the cotton wicks on the outside rather than small holes for the wicking to go into. This is not something you're used to seeing, but this is. How did we get from this to this? I'll explain more as we go down the column of the article. So, let's see. In 2013, the DIY sector of the market simply exploded. The standard of vapor production grew by leaps and bounds, largely due to a fast-growing hobbyist scene. I think you can kind of guess where I'm going here. RDAs, rebuildable dripping atomizers, first developed in 2012, became the hobbyist equipment of choice, precisely because they allowed large multi-coil sub-ohm setups to be built. For drippers, dual coils became the standard, while triple and quad coils became legitimate options. Clapton coils, twisted wire, and parallel coils showed up in the cloud comps across the country. 2012, I was, 99. I was 13 years old, and I probably saw my first vape mod around when I was 14, I think. I was riding my bicycle, and the story that's pretty interesting. I'll get into that in just a second. The story behind that is I was riding my bicycle to Antrim back in the older days when I had him on my bike. I would ride my bike to and from church just to get my exercise up and whatnot. It was something fun I like to do. On the way back one day, I had seen this guy letting out a ginormous cloud. I had no idea what it was, and I asked him about it. And he said it was a vaporizer, and it looked like a grenade, one of those old-fashioned grenade mods, old little beauty. I forget what they're called, and so I was intrigued with them ever since, and I had no idea what they were. By the time I was 17, a vape shop had opened up across the street from where I'm living now, called X Smoke Vape Smart, and that's where I ended up getting my first mod, but that's not what's important right now. But needless to say, I saw the first real good vape around 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. And it just really sat with me because it was pretty cool. I really liked the looks of it, and I don't know, it stuck with me, and that's why kind of one of the reasons why I'm vaping today, I guess. So, next up, let's see. Mass market plug-and-play equipment came along almost as quickly. The late 2012 tank-style Clearos started using coils that could be removed and swapped with pre-manufactured replacements. Bottom-fed coils like the Kangar's EVOD came to market soon after. These systems introduced adjustable airflow and dual coil systems in the arms race to create more vapor and better flavor. Pretty awesome. Let's see what time it is real quick, see what we're working on. 10:51, not bad. All right, so it really it was kind of like an arms race back in the late 2012 and early 2013. Everyone's trying to have the better mod, the best vapor production, and everyone wanted the newest mod. By 2014, you could buy a system with a single coil, dual coil, or even dual coils from Kangar's Aerotank Turbo, which challenged the Aspire Nautilus for the top position in the mass market vaping hierarchy, and made up the first off-shelf quad coil setup. These coils typically ran from 1.6 to 1.8 ohms of resistance, but Kangar dropped its dual coils down to 0.8 ohms in the search for more vapor and a taste of things to come. That is a beautiful statement right there, because vapors always look for the next best thing. We're always trying to find out which is the better mod and how we can better help people stop smoking. Sorry. A little bit of the stuffy nose today. So, it's pretty amazing to think that we went from the tiny e-cigs that used to rage on the markets to something like this in such a short few years. From 2004 all the way to 2013. That's just insane. 8 years and we have something. The market's exploding. We're under attack from the FDA. We're under attack from Big Tobacco, and yet they're still coming out with such amazing products. I'm just in awe of it, personally. So, next up, the next topic we're going to be getting to in just a little bit is the Atlantis arrives. This is also a part of the same topic of history and evolution of vape coils, but I'll I'll show you the topic on video real quick, what I'm reading, so you guys can see. So that's the topic I'm reading from, and that's the Aspire Atlantis tank. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but that tank right there, that was the genesis of the best tanks. They were the beginning, the alma mater, so to speak, of amazing tanks with removable, interchangeable drip tips, adjustable airflow, the best of flavor at the time, and we've come such a long way in terms of tanks like that. So why don't we start off this topic in this next part of the topic with the Atlantis arrives, and when we're finished with the topic, we'll try out Ari's new favorite flavor. All right, so the Atlantis arrives. In the late 2014, the Aspire Atlantis dropped, and the vaping world hit a new stage of development. The Atlantis, okay, I must have said it wrong before. This is the Atlantis, not the Nautilus. I apologize, guys. So, the Atlantis started, was and still, in theory, a clearomizer, but it will be remembered as the first full-powered mass-market sub-ohm tank with a 0.5 ohm coil and a strong appetite for watts and juice. The Atlantis started a race in its own right, with such fog machines as the Kanger sub-tank and the Sense Heracles, the VTC series from Smoke, the E-Leaf Limo, the Inokin I-Sub, and the 100-watt rated Horizon Tech Arctic. Coming to market within the next 6 months, these tanks brought competition levels of vapor to everyone who could possibly want it. The new coils learned a lot of lessons from the hobbyist. The thicker 24 and 22 gauge Kenthal could be found in many sub-ohm tank coils with much lower resistance and massive juice inlets to prevent dry hits. Dual coils used parallel builds by the early 2016. Clapton wire found its way to many coils designed for improved flavor. Throughout its evolution, variable voltage mods increased markedly in power input, giving a degree of flexibility necessary to run the new tanks and their formidable coils to their peak potential. Coil options on, for example, the Inokin I-Sub line ranged from 0.2 ohms to 2 ohms exactly. Practical for the same device, or of the broad range of power settings, from 6 to 100 watts on the Inokin TC 100 watt kit. The release of the Smock TFV4 in 2015, the Smock was one of the best rated coils at the time for their tanks and mods. They were known for their biggest flavor production back in 2014 and 2015. Sorry, got a little off topic. So the release of the TFV4 by Smock in 2015 introduced radical new coil designs that took advantage of large size of the coil casing, including triple coils arranged in a triangular pattern, quad coils arranged in parallel, sextuple coils, and eventually the outrageous Clapton octocoil with its 180 watt power handling ability. Today, the new TFV8's octacoil can handle a whopping 260 watts, and your typical DJ's fog machine envies their production all the way. So, to note, at the time of 2015 and 2016, Smock was really in their prime, taking over the vaping world. They were, or Smoke, however you want to pronounce it, Smock, whatever. But the way they were in their prime, they really took over the vaping world with their ability to use the size of their coils to their full potential, using 2 coils, 1 coil, 4 coils, and then eventually 8. That amount of power for just a certain amount, for the kind of tanks they used, the TFV12 that came out later that year, was just incredible. Their types of vapor production were juice hungry, of course. You would go through a 20 ml bottle in 5 days, not even a day if you were lucky, because of how hungry, and just using your normal vaping amount, you'd put off huge clouds in a competition. You'd need a lot more than just the 10 small bottles I picked up just to last a week. Alright, so the next setup Next subtopic is the temp control revolution. This is one of my favorite things to talk about because temperature control really helps you get that flavor tweaked just right at the right temperature. So normally watts and temperature have their differences, but power mode, such as wattage, is direct wattage. Temperature mode is heating up your coils to a certain temperature, and it can read that directly from your the mods you have today. But stuff like the old ones, like the DNA 40 chipset, those were just getting into their prime about those temperature controls. So we'll get into that in just a second. Gotta have a couple of vapes first. All this talk about vape makes me vape hungry. Loving that juice. I've got on here a mix of Green Blast from Naked 100 and my menthol. I always liked the green juices. The green juices are my favorite. That's why you can see a hint of green in my tank. Alright, so now the temp control revolution. While many vapors searched for the ultimate in raw vapor output, a different group developed a radical new technology that allowed the user to control temperature just as easily as they controlled wattage. Evolve LLC, makers of the first variable wattage mod back in 2010, brought temper control to the masses in 2014 with, whoa, I mentioned it before, the DNA 40 chipset. These chips utilize nickel 200 wire instead of kenthal or nichrome because nickel's resistance changed with its temperature, allowing the chip to target a temperature by monitoring the resistance and adjusting the power output in real time. Similar chips quickly found their way into the competing mods, and by 2015, almost every mod you can think of could produce well over 100 watts in wattage mode along with the full temperature control array. This advance meant significantly greater safety for the most health-conscious vapors, because research has shown that aldehyde production increases significantly beyond certain temperatures, and besides, some people just like a cooler vape. Soon, nickel 200 wire saw the competition from titanium wire and eventually stainless steel, which could also be used with temperature control or wattage. Each of these materials has gained their own following, so even as a major vapor, sub-ohm tanks could have become normal. Their manufacturers have also furthered their usefulness by offering temperature control coils in at least one of these materials, giving vapors a degree of options and flexibility unheard of just a couple years ago. The FDA deeming regulations again use February 2007 as their cutoff year. Everything's developed since then must undergo a testing process which promises to be expensive, drawn out, and difficult to pass, with every piece of interchangeable equipment needing to be workable and safe with these used in every other piece available. There are many ways manufacturers can address these regulations, but you will notice that in 2007, the vaping gear available on the market was almost entirely of the cartomizer-driven cig-alike type, given the lobbying power of companies who sell most of the cig-alike systems. You have to wonder about the convenience of that cutoff date. But we have roughly 2 years before the retail selection really begins to suffer, and given the swiftness of the industry over the last 2 years, we can hope for more to come before vaping hits those inevitable speed bumps. But at the very least, it's been a hell of a ride thus far. And that concludes the history of and evolution of vape coils from Mist Hub. So, what do you guys think of that so far? What do you guys think of that topic? I really think it was an amazing topic. We're going to have a few new topics to read about. Stuff like the NYC disregarding science and the fight against vaping. Studies revealing that smoking is not as safe as everyone thinks, and vaping could save tobacco users' lives. Advantages of integrated or removable vape batteries, PG or VG, which juice is right for you, and stealth vaping, how to vape on the sly. All sorts of cool things to talk about, all sorts of things that will work well with new topics that come up, and we'll get into that later, but not this week. And this is just a makeup for yesterday's video that we couldn't do. So I really think that topic had a lot to say about the evolution of vaping and their coils and how they've come to really cater to even the most safety-prone vapors. they're looking to provide the safest and the most effective way to help you quit smoking. At the same time, they're also giving you what you weren't expecting, in that they're trying to help you make informed decisions in even the least expected ways. So I just think it's really special like that. So whatever you guys think, leave your comments down in the crotch box. Any questions you may have for me as well, I'll be more than happy to answer them. And of course, always looking for new subscribers. This video will be posted on both the Visual Vapor Reviews original channel under Michael Cobb, and the current Visual Vapor Reviews channel under the same name, Visual Vapor Reviews. And you guys will be able to decide for yourselves what you guys think. And hopefully I'll leave a link to this video in my Facebook page as well, the Visual Vapor Reviews. So, not exactly sure what's going to happen, but we're going to try and get that working for you. But I'm really thankful I was able to do this video, show you guys a new topic, and big shout out to my fiance Ariana. Happy birthday, my baby girl. She is awesome. I'm so glad. I'm proud of her. She is 20 years old today, and just as beautiful, if not more so. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait to do the next video tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have some new content, maybe some new flavors. And why don't we, before we go off today, we do the thing I promised, which was vaping on that that banana split flavor I said I was going to try out. So why don't we do that real quick? So we've got my banana split, 0 milligrams. So let's see what we got here. I'm gonna drip it right onto these coils because I got the tank at the bottom, but if I fill up the coils, I'll get that flavor first off. So let's try it out, guys. Let's see. Line up the dripper. There we go. Let's see what we got here. Banana split. Cock-a-doodle damn. That is a good flavor right there. Loving that banana split. Tasting all the flavors. We've got the banana there at the end. We've got the chocolate and strawberry ice cream with the vanilla right on the side, and those cherries and strawberries right there. Delicious. Nice. No complaint on the flavor there. It's kind of switching back over to my menthol green blast. So I'm gonna vape this off real quick. Dang. Perfect flavor. Absolutely love it. So that about wraps it up, guys, for today's video. Thanks so much for sticking around and watching it with me. Thanks so much for listening to the topic today. We'll have some new topics. I'll pick one of those from there eventually soon and see what we can do for the next topic Tuesday. Tomorrow is Throwdown Thursdays, guys, and we're going to try and get a nice throwdown between 2 different flavors instead of 2 different mods. And hopefully we'll have things charged up for you then. So until next time, as always, I'm your host, Michael Cobb. And these have been the Visual Vapor Reviews. Peace, guys. Always a pleasure.